what if the secret to making solar farms safer and more efficient wasn't some new high-tech gadget, but sheep? Yeah, you heard that right. We're about to break down how these fluffy animals became some very unlikely solar engineers.
You've probably seen a picture like this before, right? Sheep just kind of hanging out, grazing between rows of solar panels. And you probably thought, hey, that's a smart, eco-friendly way to mow the lawn. But it turns out their job on these solar farms goes way, way deeper than just landscaping.
Which brings us to a pretty wild question. What if these sheep are also playing a part in the electrical safety of the whole setup? I mean, could these woolly animals actually be electricians? It sounds crazy, but let's find out.
Okay, to really get how a sheep could have anything to do with electricity, we need to zoom in on the world they're working in. It's this amazing space where farming and energy production are starting to merge.
The official name for this is agrivoltaics, and it's a genius idea, really. Instead of having to choose, do we use this land for a farm or for solar panels, you just do both at the same time, on the same land. You get so much more out of every single acre. And we already know there are a ton of benefits. You're generating clean energy, of course, but the panels also throw shade, which is perfect for certain crops and, you guessed it, for livestock, like our sheep. And that shade creates this cooler microclimate underneath, which, get this, actually helps the solar panels run more efficiently. It's a total win-win. But there is an invisible problem lurking here. And that brings us to the real heart of our story, the grounding problem. Now, this isn't just some minor technical thing. It's a huge safety challenge, and getting it wrong can be incredibly dangerous. So what exactly is electrical grounding? Well, think of it like a safety valve for electricity. If something goes wrong, like a power surge or a lightning strike, the grounding system gives all that extra dangerous electricity a safe path to travel, straight into the earth where it can't hurt anyone or anything. Without it, you're looking at a huge risk of electric shock and fried equipment. Now, for grounding to work, that electricity has to flow into the ground easily. The measurement for how difficult it is for electricity to flow is called resistance, and we measure it in ohms. For a solar farm to be safe, the magic number you're aiming for is a ground resistance of less than 10 ohms. The lower, the better. But here's where it gets real. Look at this data from an actual solar farm. We're seeing readings of over 184 ohms, 127 ohms, nearly 68 ohms. I mean, these numbers are sky high, nowhere close to that 10 ohm safety target. This is a massive engineering problem that has to be solved. Now, normally, engineers would tackle this with chemical treatments or by driving more big metal rods into the ground. Both of those options can be expensive and not great for the environment. But in this case, the solution came from somewhere completely unexpected. And here it is. This is the big reveal, straight from the research manual. It turns out that sheep droppings are packed with elements and moisture that literally change the soil's ability to conduct electricity. They naturally make it less resistant. The solution to this big engineering problem was right there, grazing under the panels the whole time. And the process to turn it into a solution was ridiculously simple. All they had to do was collect the droppings and mix them with a binder material. That just helped create a more durable paste that they could apply right where it was needed. Okay, so it's a cool idea, right? But you can't just run with a cool idea in engineering. You have to prove it works. So this kind of quirky hypothesis was put through a proper scientific test. And they were super methodical about it. They found the problem spots with the high resistance readings, took their starting measurements, and then they applied their special organic sheep dropping mix. They let it sit for a while, let it work its magic on the soil, and then they came back to measure again and see what happened. And the results are just staggering. I mean, look at this. Chamber 88 started at over 18 ohms, way above the safety limit. After the treatment, it dropped to just 0.55 ohms. That's an absolutely massive improvement. Every single test case shows the same thing. The resistance just plummeted, way, way below that 10 ohm target. The proof is right there in the numbers. It works. It really, really works. So you might be thinking, okay, that's a cool story about sheep poop, but why does this actually matter? Well, because it points to a much smarter, much more integrated way of thinking about the future. What this really shows us is that nature often has these incredibly elegant, sustainable answers to our technical problems. This is a cheap, organic alternative to using harsh chemicals. But more than that, it just highlights the power of looking at a problem from a completely different perspective, of seeing a brilliant engineering solution where most of us would just see a field of sheep. And that really leaves us with one final thought to chew on. If something as simple as sheep doing what they naturally do can solve a complex electrical engineering problem, what other incredible natural synergies are just out there, waiting for us to discover them? What else have we been overlooking?